Hello there, it's Granny again. Gonna read you another story. This one is a story about Abraham. I'm gonna read it to you right now and then I'll read you another one. God blessed Noah and his family. He told them to have many children so that the earth would be filled with people again. God formed many nations from these people, one of which would be his people. Abram and Sarah followed God, and they became the beginning of that nation. God spoke to Abram and told him to leave his home and go to a land that God would show him. He promised that all the people on earth would be blessed through Abram. Abram obeyed. Then God promised Abram that his children would outnumber the stars in the sky. They changed his name to Abraham. He did not have any children yet, and he was very old. Many years passed, and Abraham wondered if God would keep his promise. Then God came to Abraham again. He changed his wife's name to Sarah. Her name before that was Sarai. God told Abraham that he would have a son. Sarah heard this and she laughed. She thought she was too old to have a baby, but God kept his promise. She had a son that they named Isaac. When Isaac was older, God asked Abraham to offer him as a sacrifice. A sacrifice is something of great value that is given to God. Usually a sacrifice would be an animal that was killed on an altar, but this time God asked for Abraham's son. Abraham was sad, but he trusted God. He took Isaac up in the mountain and tied him to the altar, just as he was about to do as God had asked. The angel of the Lord stopped him. Abraham saw a ram caught in the bushes. God had provided a sacrifice. The angel of the Lord promised that God would bless Abraham and make his family great. God kept all of his promises to Abraham's family. God always keeps his promises. This is another story about some of Abraham's family. God remembered his promise to make Abraham's descendants outnumber the stars. Isaac married a woman named Rebekah, who was unable to have children. Isaac and Rebekah prayed that God would give them children. One day, Rebekah had twins. That means she had two babies. It was a miracle. God told Rebekah, "The babies that you have will become two nations. One people will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger." Esau was born first, and then Jacob. Esau became a hunter, and Jacob worked at home. One day Esau came home from hunting and was very tired. Jacob told Esau that if he would give him some stew, he would give him some stew, because Jacob was cooking a stew, but only if Esau gave up his birthright. A birthright was a promise that the family's wealth would one day belong to Esau. Esau was so hungry that he gave that away right away, just so he could have some stew. Later, when Isaac was very old, it was time to give a blessing to Esau. Jacob disguised himself and tricked Isaac into giving him the blessing that was meant for Esau. When Esau returned, he was angry and wanted to hurt Jacob. So Jacob went to live with relatives. Jacob lived far away from home for many years. He had wives and children and animals. Then one day God told him to go back home. Jacob went, but he was afraid Esau would still be angry with him. One night on the way, God wrestled Jacob, and at daybreak God blessed him and changed his name to Israel. Esau met Jacob before he got home. He treated Jacob kindly, and their families settled together. God's promise to Abraham would continue through Jacob. His family would be God's people. They would be called Israelites. And that's the story of Jacob and Esau.